Hello, fifth grade. We're going to go ahead and continue our chapter on Western Europe, 14.2. We are reading today pages 231 through 236. So please make sure you've done that before you go ahead and read through this. It does make more sense when you read through the section and then do the notes. Okay, so we're learning about Italy today, which we've already learned a lot about Rome, so that kind of goes hand in hand. You might know a few of these things or remember reading about it. But Italy is home of the Italian Renaissance from 1300 to 1600 AD, and that was at the end of the Middle Ages. Now, what happened is the Middle Ages were like kind of the Dark Ages, and so once people started coming out of that time, there began to be a lot of famous sculptors and artists and writers and things that were coming out of that time. And so that was called the Italian Renaissance time. Now, Italy is known for its pasta and its opera, which is sometimes a story, funny or serious love story that is sung in Italian. So obviously in Italy, they speak Italian. Now, I'm going to go through a few of the famous people that came from the Renaissance area, as well as some famous explorers. So we first have Leonardo da Vinci. Now, he was a painter, but he was also a sculptor, an architect, and an engineer, and he's the one who painted the Mona Lisa. Then we have Michelangelo, which was kind of known in the Renaissance as he was the greatest painter and artist of that time. And he was a painter and a sculptor, but he painted the creation, Adam and Eve and the flood on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, which is in Italy. And he laid on his back on scaffolding high in the sky for 2 whole years to paint that scene that is up there. So if you have a chance to Google that a little bit and see how magnificent his painting was and the detail that took place for that ceiling, it was a magnificent sight. Okay, then you have Raphael, and he was a painter and an architect, and he painted the Sistine Madonna. Okay, then we move on into some of our explorers. Now, it's interesting because Marco Polo, John Cabot, and Christopher Columbus, yes, they were actually all born in Italy, but when they started exploring, they explored for Spain, England, and Portugal because either they lived in that area or were hired by the kings or queens or the rulers at that time in that area. So they were actually born in Italy, but actually explored for different countries, okay? Then you have Amerigo Vespucci, and he discovered the New World. He actually discovered the New World. So remember, Christopher Columbus discovered the New World, but he didn't realize it was the New World because it was the south part. Amerigo Vespucci is actually who realized it was a new world, okay? And that's where we get our name America, the United States of America, over America, or from Amerigo Vespucci, named after him. Then we have Galileo, which was an Italian scientist. And we also at one point had Mussolini, and he was an Italian dictator and leader of the fascists. And then what fascists mean was he basically allowed them to have property but took away their freedoms. Okay, and so with him, he basically through the world wars and things, there was him as a dictator, but in 1946 Italy actually became a republic government, and ended up having a president and parliament, so kind of has a little bit of a mixture of England's type of government and our type of government with parliament and a president. Okay, then we have, I'm going to move over here, let me slide me over so you can see it, okay? And I'm not in your way. Now we have a lot of famous locations in Italy that we've kind of talked about a little bit, and that is one, Rome, which is the city of, the largest city and the capital of Italy. Then we also have Sicily. Now, remember how I showed you that there's like Italy is like a boot. It looks like a high heel boot. Well, at the tip of that boot is Sicily, a famous city there. There's also the Vatican City, and that is actually independent of Rome. So it's like a city-state that's within Rome, but it's actually its own entity. And that is because it is the world headquarters for the Roman Catholic Church. And also in the Vatican City is where St. Peter's Basilica, I don't know. Alexa, how do you pronounce Basilica?
I pronounce that basilica.
Okay,
basilica. And I might not have it right.
Okay. Yes, I have Alexa in here too. Haha. Okay. Where St. Peter's Basilica, which is the largest Catholic church, is located. Okay. Then we have Pisa, and you may have heard of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which is a building that actually looks like it's leaning, and it's actually located in the city of Pisa. We also have Venice. Now, Venice is a unique city because it's actually made up of a whole bunch of different islands that are all put together with bridges, and most of their streets are all made of water, so they have a useful transportation of motorboats and gondolas. That's what Venice is famous for. These are a lot of cities that people travel to all the time because of the beauty of Rome and the beauty of these different cities, the beauty of Italy, and all the history is there. Then we have Mount Vesuvius, and that is Europe's only active volcano. In Italy. We also have Pompeii, or the ruins of Pompeii, meaning the city ruins. Remember, we learned about Pompeii and how Vesuvius ended up exploding or becoming active, and all the lava went over and destroyed all of Pompeii, the city of Pompeii. And then later, many years later, they actually figured out there was a city down there, so you can actually see the ruins there. And then two other cities that are really popular in Italy are Florence and Milan, and those are just a couple other cities that are famous excuse me, that people like to visit. Now, one of the things that is so popular about Italy is all of their history that is there. A lot of it was, ran by the Roman Empire at one time and then was split up after the fall of the Roman Empire. So a lot of history really is in Italy, and it is a really unique country. So this is a little bit about history and your recap. So please go ahead and take your notes. I'm going to step out of the way so you can push pause and continue with those notes. Also, a lot of this information is located on Quizlet if you'd like to review it there, and that may help to remember more about Italy. As far as the rest of history goes, we're done with that. But also, history is on Quizlet, so if you guys ever want to look at those notes or practice by studying that way, you can click onto your Quizlet account and view that as well. Okay, that was Italy.